Hi, boys and girls. Mr. Shively here, reading to you one of my favorite all time books called The Old Woman and the Willy Nilly Man. Once upon a time, in the woods, a little old woman lived all by herself. One night, she was getting ready for bed. She brushed her teeth, took off her day clothes, put on her night clothes, and set her little shoes on the floor by her bed. Then she did something mighty peculiar. She hobbled outside and got two big rocks. She put one rock on her left shoe and one rock on her right shoe. Then she shook her finger at her shoes and said, little shoes, stay where I put ye." And she laid down and pulled the quilt up to her chin. See, the little old woman thought that if she put rocks on her shoes, they wouldn't get up in the night and dance around and sing like they'd been doing for the last 10 nights. But she was wrong. 'Cause soon as she got to snoring, them shoes kicked the rocks off, clatter, 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 walked into the other room, talked to each other, "Would you care to dance? Don't mind if I do," and commenced to carrying on. "Oh, I knew it wouldn't work," said the old woman, waking up out of a sound sleep. She got up and went to the door of her bedroom. "You stop that ruckus! I can't get no sleep at all with you dancing around like that. Stop it, I said." She shook her fist at him and tried to catch up to him. "I'm gonna get you." She even chased him around with a broom till she was too tired. But the shoes didn't pay her no mind. They just kept dancing and singing till morning. "What am I gonna do?" she said to herself the next morning. "Getting no sleep is making me plumb forgetful." The little old woman got dressed and went out to pick her blackberries, forgetting she'd done it the day before, and the bushes was all empty. She was so sleepy that after a few minutes in the woods, she forgot where she was going. It was then she had a thought. "I'll go see the Willy Nilly Man and ask him to help me." Now, the Willy Nilly Man is scary. He lives in a house in the middle of the woods, but it's not like a house regular folks would live in. It's all made up out of pieces of tin and old cans and boxes and junk he's found down along the railroad tracks. And it has a cow skull hanging on it and an old goat skull, and a lot of skinny dogs are slinking around outside growling. When the old woman got there, the Willy Nilly Man was sitting in the middle of his clearing, beating on a big old drum, singing, "Clothes, wash yourselves. Clothes, wash yourselves." And what do you think? His raggedy old clothes were rubbing theirselves against the washboard and sudsing up. Then they dance on over to the wringer and wring themselves out and fly across to the clothesline and hang over it. And nobody was helping them. Now, the Willy Nilly Man is scary. He has one big old eye that looks out one way and another big old eye that rolls around and looks out the other way, so you can't tell if he's looking at you or not. And he's got a beard down to his knees, and all kind of weird things live in that beard. Spiders live in there, and lizards, and sticks and grease and pieces of things he's eaten just hang around on it. And the Willy Nilly Man's one long crooked tooth is black, 'cause he never brushed it. The old woman stood at the edge of the clearing. Her teeth were chattering with fright. Folks said the most terrible things about the Willy Nilly Man, and now, seeing him, she could believe they were all true. She opened her mouth, then she closed it. She'd forgotten why she'd come. "Now, what did I come here for?" she thought. "Just to have the daylight scared out of me? Oh, I wish I could remember. Maybe if I go back to the house and start again, I'll think of it. She turned to go, but her foot caught on a clackjack root, and when she'd wriggled it loose, she had to look at them pesky shoes. Oh, them shoes, that's what I come here for. She turned back around to face the clearing and found herself face to face with the willy-nilly man. What do you want, old woman? The willy-nilly man's voice was kind of gravely and deep. You got to help me, willy-nilly man. You just got to. Who are you? What I want to help you for. Go on home. The willy-nilly man turned his head, and he still seemed to be looking at her because his eyes are so funny. You just got to help me. My little shoes have got something wrong with them. They gets up every night and dances and sings all night long. They make such a ruckus that I can't get no sleep at all. What do I care if you sleeps or not? Get on out of here now. Don't be bothering me. He looked at the old woman real mean-like, but she'd come too far to leave now. Willy-nilly man, I done heard you could do powerful strange things. You're the onlyest person hereabouts who could possibly help me. Just tell my little shoes not to do what they've been doing no more. I don't help nobody, growled the willy-nilly man. Now, you get on out of here. The old woman backed off and started for the woods. Seeing the woods gave her an idea. I'll give you some blackberry jam if you'll help me. I'll give you a whole big jar. Now the willy-nilly man loved blackberry jam. In fact, he loved it, eating it, but mostly he loved sweets because his one tooth was a sweet tooth. Blackberry jam. The willy-nilly man thought about it for a moment. Then he said, go on home now, and tonight everything will be different. The little old woman tottered home. That night she was very excited. She remembered to brush her teeth, but she laid right down in her day clothes and never even put on her night clothes. It was only when she started to pull up the quilt that she remembered to take off her shoes. She set them down by the side of the bed, saying, little shoes, stay where I put ye, yawning so much that she could barely finish. She didn't put rocks on 'em or nothing. Then she smiled and stretched out and laid down for the best sleep she'd ever had. But it didn't last long. Soon as she started snoring, clatter, clatter, clatter. Would you care to dance? Don't mind if I do. And the carrying on commenced. The old woman woke up with a start. Oh, no, this can't be right. The willy-nilly man told me that tonight's everything's going to be different. And so it was, for when she crept into the other room and her little shoes saw her, they jumped right onto her feet. And before she knew what was happening, she commenced to dancing and prancing, whirly-gigging and jigging, jumping and slapping her thighs like she was 16 years old. And she couldn't stop or get them shoes off for nothing. When morning come, she was pretty near wore out. She was also made fit to be tied. Never, all in my 92 years had she been so mad. I was going to fix that willy-nilly man. She stirred a pot full of her best blackberry jam. She poured it into a clean jar, and then she went and got her lye soap and put soap onto that blackberry jam. Then she got some rocks and put them into the blackberry jam. She swept the ceiling for spider webs and put them into the blackberry jam. She put black ink and paste into the blackberry jam. Before she put on the lid, she even put a tooth her old cat had lost into the blackberry jam. Then she got down her walking stick and started through the woods to the willy-nilly man's house. The willy-nilly man was sitting outside his house beating on his drum when she got there. He didn't even look up when she come into the clearing. Willy-nilly man, she called out to him in her nicest voice. I got something for you. Blackberry jam. She held it out to him, and he stopped drumming and came over. He took the jam, and then he sat down on his stump again. Why, looky here, he said, and he opened up the lid, tipped up the jar, and swallowed it all in one big gulp. Oh! My belly hurts, he commenced to yelling and rolling around to the ground, and the little old woman beat it back to her house as fast as she could. The willy-nilly man rolled around and held his belly for a long time. Then finally it stopped hurting, and he sat up. That old woman, he started to growl to himself. That old woman sure fixed me. She surely did. And somehow when he thought about it, he started to laugh. I ain't never had nobody fix me like she did. And he laughed and laughed. Now, this was a wonderful thing, because the willy-nilly man hadn't laughed for 50 years or more. And when he commenced to laughing and thinking about the old woman, he thought, maybe I'll just go pay her a visit. Now that was strange too, because the willy-nilly man hadn't paid anybody a visit in more than 60 years. He pushed his way through the woods over to the old woman's house. The old woman heard him coming. Where can I hide? Oh, where can I hide? She bobbed around her little house looking for hidey holes. She tried under the table and up the chimney. Old woman! Old woman! Oh dear, he's gonna kill me for sure, said the little old woman as she squeezed under her rickety bed. Old woman, come on out here now. I won't hurt ye. The old woman poked her head out from under the bed. Then she peeked out the window. The willy-nilly man was smiling. Come out now. Don't be scared. That funny old blackberry jam you gave me made me laugh. Ain't nothing makes me laugh. I reckon I'd come over here and thank you. I's thinking too, seeing as how you ain't afraid of me, maybe you'd like to pay me another call sometime, social like. You don't have to bring no jam, he added hastily. I can't pay nobody no calls and I'm dancing around all night, every night. All right, old woman, your shoes ain't gonna dance no more, depend on it. And he turned and disappeared into the woods. That night, the old woman brushed her teeth and took off her day clothes and put on her night clothes and set her little shoes down, talking to him just like she always did. But once she started snoring, she snored right through the night, 'cause her little shoes stayed right where she put them. That is the story of the old woman and the willy-nilly man. I hope you enjoyed it.